Alrighty, upon the initial recording of this race, I had a power surge, and so we have lost the recording for the sprint qualifier, and I had to restart the race anyways. But I'll update y'all. We had Kyler Sestre, Andre Stefan, Tashi Gupta, Nate Newman, Taden Berggren, Jessica Hergeson, and David Bird transferred into the main event here for the Monster Energy 140 at the Talladega Road Course. And so let's hope that we don't get another power surge. Starting on the front row, we've got Tim Cording alongside Atlee Weiss rolling into this race. It is an elimination race, so after tonight or after today here, we will know who makes it on to the MEGA9, the next round of the playoffs. Behind them, we've got the 18 of Chadwick and the 10 of Jordan Walker, the 24 of Kyler Sestre and the 2 of Chris Harvey, the 21 of Trevor Walker and the 90 of Tom Cording, Ant Me Person and Gavin Gray, Andre Stefan and Matthew Fastnot, Monty Shangle and Ewan What Army, Bradley Ream, who needs a good finish or even a win here today, alongside Cash, Al Bunch and Tashi Gupta, Zach Armstrong and Richard Townsend, the 16 of Jeffrey Gerald and Krista Cower, James Reddick and Colton Smith, Chris Hergeson and David Bird, Jack Davis and Nate Newman, Jack Ross and Tim Hansen, Paulo Ladino and Brian DeBlanc, Maggie Reams and John Brinker, Luis Rodriguez and Leighton Avyard, 81 of Cannon Gage and the 27 of Philip Leeds, 40 of Jessica Hergeson and the 43 of Taden Berggren, 89 of Gavin Legend and the 22 of Dave Steele. 35 laps here at the Talladega Road Course, and I can say that this is a experimental race, as we've never hosted a race here at the Talladega Road Course. Based on initial reception, this track actually runs pretty clean and pretty good, so we're underway for 140 miles here at the Talladega Road Course. Should be a good race. Atlee Weiss has won the past 2 races in the Truck Series here, looking to make it 3 in a row. He's going to have to fight with the likes of Tim Cording, Chadwick, and Jordan Walker to pull it off here today. Green flag waves, and they're off and rolling. Tim Cording with the early lead here. Atlee on the inside making that Dodge horsepower run. Atlee off to the early lead as Chadwick gets up to second. Tim Cording falls back to third. Jordan Walker in fourth. Sestre in fifth. Harvey in sixth. And then you got Tom Cording in seventh. In the early running here, most of our HYPER13 all within the top running orders, as you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, and at least 14th and 15th it looks like right now. So Jeffrey Gerald needs to make up some positions here going through the bus stop. As you can see, a lot of drivers making it work through the bus stop here. The worst off right now in the championship contenders is Philip Leeds there in the number 27 Wonder Bread entry. But leading the way amongst all the drivers, it's Atlee Weiss at the front of the field over Chadwick, Tim Cording, and Jordan Walker. Still out front leading the way here on lap 3 of 35 is Atlee Weiss over Chadwick. Third place belongs to Tim Cording. Fourth place, Chris Harvey. Fifth place, Jordan Walker. Sixth place, the 24 truck of Kyler Sustre. The 21 of Trevor Walker right behind that. Tom Cording. Matthew Fastnot, who is on the bubble right now. with a good finish today, will secure his way into the Hyper 9 as long as someone that isn't named the 27 of Philip Leeds, Bradley Ream, Al Bunch, or Jeffrey Gerald. As long as none of those drivers win today, Matthew Fastnot should be able to point his way in to the MEGA9 round. Of course, those drivers that are in question running outside of the top 15 right now, we've got Bradley Ream in 17th, Jeffrey Gerald in 18th, Al Bunch in 19th, and Philip Leeds back in 30th. So all the drivers that need a good finish here today, struggling as it is, they will need some strategy or luck to come their way to get into the next round of the playoffs. Atlee would be putting himself in a rare air of statistics if he can pull off a third consecutive win here today. 2 wins in a row with the USA Trucks. As soon as this round of 13 started, he took home victory at the Talladega Super Speedway. And then just yesterday, last night at Bristol Dirt, he took home victory. Looking good again here today on the Talladega road course, leading the way, leading laps in dominant fashion so far. 4 laps into this one, 31 laps to go. So 5 laps through this one, and we have 8 of our top 10. All are championship contenders here. Seven of the top 10. Now the Me person is dropped back to 11th. Jeffrey Gerald struggling here today. Al Bunch as well. Al Bunch, many had thought was going to be a contender here for the championship, at least in the Busch Series as he's been. It's been a struggle for him in the start of the Busch Championship, round of 13. And right here today, if it was to finish the way the order is, he would be out of the round of 9 going into next week. Matthew Fastnot, on the other hand, having a good run here today, would be one of the drivers that some may have wrote off as being potential elimination in this first round. He has proven all the naysayers wrong, running some strong finishes here in the USA Trucks. And it looks like Matthew Fastnot might be one of our contenders to make it into the MEGA9. Tom Cording as well has been putting together a good stretch of races here to get himself through to the next round. Kyler Sustre, brand new entry in the series, and he's already running up front with these veterans, looking like a very well versed driver here in the USA Truck Series. It'll be a matter of time before he's competing for wins, and this is going to bode well for him going into the summer segment of our championship series. He'll probably earn himself a seat somewhere, the way that he's running off early out of the gates here in that number 24 Dodge Ram. Atlee Weiss still leading over Chadwick and Tim Cording. Looks a little bit like a repeat of last night at the Bristol Dirt, where we had Atlee Weiss at the front leading laps and dominating. Chadwick might try to put together a strategy run here to try and counteract what the 19's got going. In the meantime, it's follow the leader and try to figure out what he can do in the position that he's given right here. these top three driving away from the rest of the field currently. This looks like about 3 trucks really in contention for the win as of right now. Trevor Walker quite a ways back in 4th. Chris Harvey in 5th. Kyler Sestre in 6th. 7th is Tom Cording. 8th is Ewan Wood Army. 9th is Ant Me Person. 10th is Jordan Walker. 11th is Matthew Fastnot. 12th is Andre Stefan. 13th, Tashi Gupta. 14th, Monty Shangle. And 15th, Richard Townsend. Jeffrey Gerald still has some work to do, running in 17th at the moment. His prime contender that he's going to have to focus on beating today is Matthew Fastnot. And even then, he's going to have to beat him by quite a margin to point his way in. Al Bunch, definitely a must-win situation unless Matthew Fastnot mechanically fails to finish this race. Cash in the 07 holding pretty solid in the point standings. Just needs to finish the race without having a mechanical failure, and they will be mostly safe into the next round of the Mega 9. Philip Leeds is in a must-win territory, running 30th like he is here. This is going to put him behind in potential contention for the championship. Ooh, and Bradley Ream all the way in dead last right now is definitely not what he wants to have going on. Looks like perhaps he might have made a pit stop actually and figure out what happened. Pit in, pit out. So he's trying to change the strategy to give himself a better opportunity. Yep, that's what happened. So he made a pit stop, and perhaps strategy is what he's thinking. If he can go out there on fresh tires, full tank of gas, he's going to try to do the undercut here and hope that this race stays green. If the race stays green, he might be able to make up some spots and play the strategy game to perfection. Since he knows that he ain't going to drive through the field to win this one, he's going to try to play the strategy game. And with that, he's turning fast laps right now, so we'll have to keep an eye on him and see what kind of laps he's turning and whether or not he's going to have anything for the leaders. Potentially in a must-win situation, he could still point his way in if there's some drivers such as Cash or Matthew Fastnot to have some kind of trouble that puts them out of position to transfer. Currently we're on lap 10 of 35, so we've got 25 laps to go here. Those 25 laps should go by fairly quickly, even though this is a 4-mile road course. It is pretty lengthy in distance. Bradley Ream, one of the first drivers to actually make green flag pit stops here. Not so certain when we'll see the leaders make their green flag pit stops, as some of them might wait and to push it until the very end so that they can get as much track time before pitting and get rid of all that position that they've gained. Wow, Bradley Ream with the slower traffic in front of him is struggling to put together decent laps as he put together a 2:21 that last lap. That's going to hold him up and keep him from making positions that he so desperately needs right now to try and get back in the mix for the championship. Atlee looks so strong out front here that very few people are even showing a hint of anything for him. Chadwick in second, closest contender, but not much closer to the field than even Tim Courting behind him. Those two staying about the same distance off the pace from Atlee Weiss there. The fascinating part with Atlee Weiss and his dominance as of late, there's actually a target on his back, as some subject actually put a bounty out on his head for anyone that could beat him. And very few people can actually beat him if they can catch him. That bounty, they want him at least to not finish the race. So if anyone can go out there, cause him to wreck, and DNF in any given race, they would earn 150,000 on their earnings. But the way Atlee's running, I don't think anyone can even come close to him. Atlee looking to put himself in very rare territory, as I mentioned earlier. If he can win 3 consecutive races here in the trucks, that would be a statistic that no one else has ever touched here in the USA trucks. We've had some drivers win back-to-back races, but we've never had a driver win 3 in a row. We've seen it happen in Busch, where it was Al Bunch last year, won 4 straight to close out the season. And then we saw it earlier this year in the Cup Series, where Monty Shangle won 4 straight. So if Atlee Weiss can somehow pull it into victory lane here today for 3 in a row, it'll just be another week before we find out if he can make it 4 in a row. course, the next race on the schedule is going to be a super speedway, and those are always a wild card. You can never predict how those will play out. And Atlee Weiss definitely making it harder for people to lock their way into the MEGA9 round of the playoffs here, winning both of the last two races in the HYPER13. This is going to keep anyone else that wants to win their way in from getting that win, securing their way in. Someone like Bradley Ream here today, definitely in a must-win scenario, and still running towards the back into the field after making an early pit stop. He's got a lot of work cut out for him, and he's going to have to hope that it stays green all the way to the finish to try and shuffle back to the front of the field. Other drivers that are still struggling, we got Philip Leeds outside the top 30, Cash in 20th, Al Bunch in 19th, and Jeffrey Gerald in 17th. These guys in do or die situation to make it to the next round, having a rough start here at Talladega today on the road course. Matthew Fastnot in 11th. Some people might have wrote him off, but he's going to prove them all wrong and try to race his way into the next round, the MEGA9. Ant Me Person in 9th. So let's see. Seven of our HYPER13 are in the top 10 right now. Not bad for them. "14 laps into this one, and we haven't seen any cautions nor any retirements from the race. Atlee Weiss has led every lap so far, holding that position over Chadwick and Tim Cording. Tim Cording may have led the first lap of the race, but since then it's been Atlee Weiss the whole way. Seems that lap traffic is going to become a factor here for Atlee as we are approaching lap 19 of 35. We're just past halfway now. Gavin Legend 39th, about to go a lap down. We've got 3 trucks a lap down, the 68 of Zach Armstrong, the 4 of Bradley Ream. It seems Ream had to make another pit stop somewhere because he's 1 full lap down now. Yep, 4 had to make another pit stop, so that basically ices it for Bradley Ream. There's no way he's going to make it back from that and transfer into the next round. So Bradley Ream looks to be set as one of our first to be eliminated from the MEGA9. Driver next in line would be the 27 of Philip Leeds, who currently runs 33rd. And the other drivers still struggling would be Al Bunch and Jeffrey Gerald. However, Jeffrey Gerald now up to 12th. Still has a little bit more to play for. If he can get through the field and get a good finish here, with bad luck from some other drivers, he could still make his way into the next round of the playoffs. But we're about to be 15 laps to the finish here, so not too many laps left. Atlee in the thick of it here with lap traffic as he's now driving around Brian DeBlank for putting him a lap down. DeBlank having a rough day in 36th. Chadwick and Cording 2nd and 3rd. And still we're not certain as to when these leaders are going to make their one and only pit stop. If it's going to happen sooner than later. These guys are all going to have to come down pit road at least within the next couple laps before the finish. "15 laps to go, and it's been all Atlee Weiss at the front of the field. Looks like Chadwick may have made a pit stop. We'll see if the 18 is on pit road, and he is. So we do have drivers making their pit stops right now to finish out their scheduled pit stops. Chadwick will rejoin the field here, lap 20 right there. And in 4th, it looks like he'll rejoin, only losing a couple spots, as the whole field is very well stretched out. Atlee leading over Tim Cording. Ooh, and they're putting Philip Leeds a lap down now. So pit stops are definitely going to be happening here really quickly. Seems that this lap it's going to be Atlee coming down pit road. The 50 truck of Tim Cording also down pit road. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the 21 of Trevor Walker to see what he does here. Trevor Walker also coming down pit road. We'll keep an eye on Chadwick. Chadwick will rejoin the fold in front of the leaders, or if he'll cycle in right behind them, have him pit early. He did the undercut on the rest of the drivers. And going down here, it looks like Atlee is going to maintain the lead, but Chadwick's going to close the gap ever so slightly with that pit strategy. So good pit call on Chadwick and their number 18 team. Still, he's got his work cut out for him if he wants to catch up to Atlee, who just rejoined the track, but now with one lap fresher tires than Chadwick. So 14 laps remain in this one, and we still have not seen a single caution. No retirement still. Looks like Bradley Ream had to make another pit stop, and he is trapped 3 laps down in 42nd. That spells the end for him and his championship hopes. Philip leads in 31st. Might as well hang up the hat on the championship chase. Al Bunch in 16th. Jeffrey Gerald in 12th. Now back to 13th. Now back to 14th. Atlee putting Paul Ladino a lap down here, as that'll put the field all the way up to 39th, 1 lap down. 39th, 38th, the last truck on the lead lap. This time by, it'll be 13 laps to go as Atlee continues to hold the lead on the rest of the field. Dominant outing by him. Down to 12 laps to go, and let's do a little bit of a check through the field. As we've seen now, Chadwick sits in second. Third is Tim Cording. Fourth is Trevor Walker. Fifth is Kyler Sustre. Sixth is Ewan Wadarmy. Seventh is Chris Harvey. Eighth right now belongs Tom Cording. Ninth, Jordan Walker. 10th, Ant Meperson. 11th, Matthew Fastnot. 12th, Andre Stefan. 13th, Jeffrey Gerald. 14th, Monty Shangle. 15th, James Reddick. 16th, Krista Cower. 17th, Al Bunch. Bradley Ream, multiple laps down in 42nd. This is going to be the end of the road for him. 18th, Colton Smith. 19th, Tim Hansen. 20th, Jack Ross. 21st is Cash. 22nd, Gavin Gray, as he slams into the wall there, giving the position up to David Bird, who's now up to 22nd. Gavin Gray looks like he's going to suffer some consequences from that, losing some more positions to Tashi Gupta and Chris Hergeson. That truck is not right after hitting that wall that hard. Zach Armstrong in 26th. And then we've got Atlee Weiss there and about to put 26th a lap down. We've only got 26 trucks on the lead lap. Ooh, and we did have an accident that we just missed. The 80 of Richard Townsend and the 78 of John Brinker. Let's go back and check to see exactly how that went down. Somewhere throughout the track, Richard Townsend in 12th, so he was having a good run up to this point. In 12th place. Under attack by Tashi Gupta. Oh, and he blows it up. What happens here is Richard Townsend, running in 12th, suffers a mechanical failure. Didn't seem to show us exactly what that mechanical failure was. Doesn't come up on the chat log. But as he's blowing up, the 78 must come into the picture here somewhere. Oh no. Coming down pit road, he did not know that that 80 truck was slow. And so John Brinker pile drives right into the number 80. Coming down pit road for his scheduled pit stop. Putting an end to the day for both the 78 and the 80. So many drivers stuck on pit road there. And in the midst of all the carnage and drivers struggling and dropping out, Bradley Ream up to 34th right now. None of the retirements are drivers in the championship battle, so Bradley Ream still without an opportunity to gain points on someone that he needs to. Still 3 laps down though in 34th. 10 laps to go here. Atlee Weiss has turned this race into a snooze fest. As you can see, out front leading all these laps with only 10 laps to go. So 25 laps through this one, and we had 2 retirements on that stretch of green flag pit stops that took out the 80 and the 78. Bradley Ream is back down to 40th all of a sudden. So he takes advantage of position and gains some spots and then loses them all back somehow. That is insane. Well, apparently I was just looking at the wrong. It must not have cycled quite the way it was supposed to. Because he is still 40th. Weird. I thought it showed him in 34th. Anyways, Al Bunch in 16th. Atlee Weiss about to put 23rd a lap down. Only 23 trucks left on the lead lap. Next on the target will be 23rd, David Bird. Nine laps to go now. We are just past the 1 hour mark in the race. This race has seen no caution, so it has been green flag to green flag so far as Atlee Weiss has put on a clinic. Atlee Weiss looking to win his 3rd consecutive race in a row. And then we'll be looking towards Orlando next week to see if he could potentially make that 4. And then we would have at least one of each series where there is a driver that stands out having won 4 races in a row. That seems to be the mark. Once you get to that point, it's hard to make the 5th in a row. This definitely reminds me of that one season in the NASCAR Cup where Joey Logano won every round of one of the rounds during the NASCAR playoffs, and then I think that was the same year that when they went to Martinsville, he got dumped by Matt Kenseth and wound up getting eliminated that round. So there's still a lot that could play out like that. I mean, Atlee Weiss put together a dominant stretch here in the HYPER13. Once they make it to the MEGA9, there might be 3 different drivers that win that are the 3 drivers that stood the best opportunity to get eliminated. And if those 3 drivers win, Atlee Weiss struggles. He could get knocked out in the the MEGA9 round. So there's no telling. The championship is not decided until the last lap is turned on track. Momentum is definitely on Atlee's side here, and a lot of bonus points that he's accrued. He might even be flirting with more bonus points than Chaz Chadwick, our regular season champion. 3 consecutive wins, that's 15 points right there. So that's the equivalent of winning the regular season championship, just winning an entire round here in the playoffs. It's going to be fascinating to see how the points tallies mark up once we reset for the MEGA9 round. And Atlee Weiss might be your number 1 seed in the MEGA9. And instead of Chadwick in the 18, who should be, by all means, with the regular season championship under his belt, he should be your number 1 seed. But that's what happens when you have someone that goes out there, wins, and more race wins. officially down to our final 7 laps here. Everyone has made their pit stops and should be good to go the rest of the way. 7 laps at a 4-mile track here, so that's still 28 miles in length. It's a decent run for these guys. Atlee Weiss has been the star of the show all day here, dominating and putting down one hell of a clinic in front of the rest of the field. Obviously, nothing is final until the points are tallied up, but based on how things are going, it looks like Al Bunch is going to be out of contention. Bradley Reams in 39th right now, out of contention. Philip Leeds in 37th will be out of contention. And Jeffrey Gerald, unfortunately, even with the top 15 in the cards here today, Jeffrey Gerald needs to outpoint Matthew Fastnot. And with Matthew Fastnot right in front of him in the top 10, Jeffrey Gerald is in a must-win situation, and he is not going to make up enough points on Matthew Fastnot just to make it in. Matthew Fastnot right now would have to retire out due to a mechanical failure. And even then, Philip Leeds has a better shot at it than Jeffrey Gerald does. So Philip Leeds would only have to make up about 5 points on Matthew Fastnot. And if Matthew Fastnot fell out, it would be close, as Philip Leeds is within position to get about 5 points here, even in 36th place. Doesn't seem like any of our surprise winners are going to come through and win, as it's been pretty much a predictable round of the HYPER13, with Atlee Weiss just showing everyone how it's done. Six laps to go now. Ooh, and we had a little bit of trouble there as the 07 slaps it into the wall. Don't know if this will bring out a caution, the way that truck got sideways and spun. It gets full-blown sideways there for a moment. And we stay green, so no caution, even though Cash got sideways. Atlee Weiss only has 5 laps to go here. As long as he doesn't have to make any unscheduled pit stops, he should be good to go. to close this one out. One of the very few mistakes we've seen from Atlee there. Just did that bus stop, but makes the minimal mistake as what he could and keeps it going. Doesn't seem to lose much position, as he still got about a 15-second lead over Chadwick, 22-second lead over Cording, 36-second lead over the 21 of Trevor Walker, and almost a full minute lead over Kyler in the 24 truck. Now we're down to 4 laps to go. 4 laps, and we might just see history made here, as Atlee could become the first truck driver to win 3 consecutive races in a row. Impressive run for Atlee here, especially since this will be his farewell tour in the USA Trucks. It would be pretty neat to crown it with a championship if he could. This win here is going to go a long way in keeping him afloat in the playoff battle. 15 bonus points will be added to the bonus points that he already had entering the HYPER13 here. So add those 15 points on and he'll easily probably surpass and the crazy part is the 4 of Bradley Ream, who was one of our highest seeded drivers. Bradley Ream was actually seated in the top 5 going into the HYPER13. Even crazier than that, he was in the top 3, I think. So let's confirm or deny that, as I can look back and see. Bradley Ream was actually 4th seeded. Atlee Weiss was 2nd seeded to that of Chadwick. Chadwick, unfortunately, has not been able to add much to his 22 playoff points. 15, add that to Atlee Weiss, and his 16 will put him at 31 playoff points. And that's going to put him at least leaps and bounds above the majority of the field. There's still some drivers like Ant Me Person who's going to have 0, Tim Cording who's going to have 0, Matthew Fastnot who's going to have 2, and Tom Cording who's going to have 5. But a driver like Bradley Ream, who had 10 bonus points, 10 playoff points, and those 10 playoff points were not enough to save him and progress him into the next round of the playoffs, as he is struggling to have a good run here today. It's going to put him out of contention, and I'll have to be looking towards next year possibly to make it happen next year. That means in the last 2 races, Bradley Ream has only been able to net 13 points, which is a rough outing, especially for the dominance that we've seen from Bradley Ream since the start of the season. Heartbreak on the season will be that of Bradley Ream, who should have been one of the top 5 drivers throughout this whole realm of the playoffs. One that kind of stands out as the surprise of the whole deal is one Aunt Me person, who kind of started showing up when the playoffs started here, and 2 Tom Courting, who simply won his way from Pocono to qualify for the HYPER13, and yet again just doing what he needs to in the other couple races that he's contested to stay afloat. Although that could make things interesting. It seems he had to make a late race pit stop, and that's trapped him in 39th right now. Tom Courting only has 46 points, and if we measure that up against Philip Leeds, who has 38, Al Bunch, who has 20, Al Bunch will have to make up 26 points based on how they're running Al Bunch in the 08 truck. 15th on track. It's gonna be close. Al Bunch almost needs to pick up about 5 more spots if he wants to potentially knock Tom Courting out of this. That's just late in developing that I didn't catch until now. We've only got 2 laps left, and Atlee just put Al Bunch a lap down. But with Al Bunch in 15th and Tom Courting in 38th, if Al Bunch can get a couple more spots here, we could be looking at Al Bunch scrapping his way through to the next round of the playoffs just by pure luck that the 90 truck had to pit late in this one. Yeah, 39th for Tom Courting. It looked like he was a lock, but now we're going to have to wait and see what the points come out to be, because we got Philip Leeds, Bradley Ream, and Tom Courting all nose to tail here. Jeffrey Gerald in 11th. It's not going to be enough. He's still not outpointing the 08 of Bunch to justify making it past Bunch. But man, Bunch has a lot of separation between him and 14th. Short of anyone else making late race pit stops, it doesn't look like Al Bunch is going to make it. Great run for Kyler Sustre, who's got a top 5 in the books right here. Also, great run for Trevor Walker, who looks like he's going to secure a 4th. Tim Courting, who's going to secure a 3rd. And Chadwick, who's looking to secure a 2nd. 17 seconds separate him, 18 seconds separate him from Atlee Weiss at the front of the field. As we saw Atlee Weiss just putting Al Bunch a lap down. We're down to our final 2 laps here. Yeah, so 26 points. If Al Bunch, with his 15th, can actually make that 26 points, we might even be looking at a tie. And the tiebreaker would go to the driver with the better finish in the last race, which of course would be here at Talladega. So you'll have to keep tuned in and see exactly. I won't know in the time that the recording stops who's in and who's out. We can safely write out 3 of the 4 drivers. Jeffrey Gerald, Bradley Ream, and Philip Leeds all out of it. they would have had an opportunity had they had a better run here today, especially since Tom Courting fell apart at the end of this one. So Bradley Ream is going to be kicking himself that he wasn't able to have at least a top 15 finish here today. The one with the top 15 finish is looking to be Al Bunch, and that might be enough. It might not. As Atlee's coming around the front stretch here at Talladega, he's going to get the white flag this time by. White flag for Atlee Weiss. We're going to take it to the helicopter cam here for one whole lap since we haven't seen a good angle like this on the track yet. Goes into the first turn here. A long sweeping first turn. I'll call that turn 1. Then we've got a slight turn here to the left again, turn 2. Turn 3 right there. Turn 4. Turn 5. Turn 6. Mostly an S segment there. And we might even go ahead and say that's turn 7. Turn 8 to the left. Turn 9 to the right. Turn 10. Turn 11. And now we're on the Talladega backside of the track. We'll call this turn 12 as they're sweeping through Talladega's turn 2. The bus stop is going to be turns 13, 14, and then back on the front stretch as we go to turn 15. And technically turn 16. And it's Atlee Weiss cruising to victory lane here at the Talladega Road Course as he's going to come cruising across victory checkered flag, take home the victory here for 3 consecutive wins in the USA Truck Series. Stellar performance from Atlee Weiss. Chadwick is going to come home in second. Al Bunch with a 15th. We're going to have to see if that's enough. Not certain for the time being whether or not it will be. Chadwick in second. We know that he's going to move on to the next round. Third place, Tim Courting coming through and surviving this first round of the playoffs in the HYPER13. Fourth place, Trevor Walker. Goes to show he's still got good road course experience with a top 5 finish on that today. Fifth place, Chris Harvey. A great run for him on the road course. Sixth place, he just gets by Kyler Sustre in the last couple laps here to take the top 5 away from him. Ewan What Army comes home 7th. Ant Meeperson in 8th. Jordan Walker in 9th. 10th place, Matthew Fastnot. Looks like he's going to lock his way in to the MEGA9 with the top 10 finish here today. Great run for Fastnot there. Jeffrey Gerald, unfortunately, not enough. He's not going to be able to make up enough points on Tom Courting to work his way into the next round of the playoffs. So an 11th was all for naught as this number 16 truck is going to be relegated to fight for a championship another year. Andre Stefan with a 12th, a great run for him. 13th, James. Yeah, James Reddick comes home with a top 15 finish here. Josh Reddick is a baseball player, not this guy though. He's a truck driver. So James Reddick with a 13th. 14th, Monty Shangle. And 15th was Al Bunch, which we'll have to see. Stay tuned in to the Discord channel to see if Al Bunch makes it or if he does not, if he's the first one out. We know for a fact Philip Leeds is out. Bradley Ream is out. And the 16 of Jeffrey Gerald is out. The only one in question is Tom Cording, whether or not coming up to 33rd may have been all he needed to stay into it, or if Al Bunch with a 15th is going to give him the points he needed to secure the next step in the round of the playoffs. (16 of 23 races complete), and next on deck will be the MEGA9 round of the playoffs. So congratulations to Atlee Weiss for making it 3 in a row here in the HYPER13. Definitely the first driver locked in to the MEGA9. We're going to have to see how he fares in the next round of the playoffs. So, yet again, thank you everyone for tuning in. It was a decent race at the Talladega Road Course. The first race had unfortunately crashed when I had a power surge at the house. I was able to make it through this one without a power surge, and we now have a new driver with 3 consecutive wins in the USA Truck Series. We'll be looking to see if Atlee can make it 4 in a row next week at the Orlando Super Speedway. So thanks again everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.